The 60s. What an area! At the time new drugs were discovered, sex was not longer taboo, which leave a mark on this decade, becoming one of the most extravagant. Nevertheless, this discovery wasn't just a decade of fun, but more especially a decade of dangerous testing without consciousness. It increased the rate of death due to drugs. LSD and marijuana has been the two most used drugs among 20-ish more dangerous ones. Thus, we can ask ourselves, how did this happen and how drugs become ordinary?
First, it came from hippies. Why did hippies use drugs so extensively without consent? Let's look at the history of drug use leading up to this situation. After World War II, the pharmaceutical industry exploded with research into new drugs. They produced drugs to prevent disease, to cure disease, to alleviate pain, to relieve upset stomachs, to keep you alert, to help you to sleep, to lessen worry, to reduce hyperactivity in children, to remove the symptoms of physical disorders. Thanks to the industry's aggressive campaigns in the media and the doctor's office, every medicine cabinet filled up with drugs for every sort of ailment.
In USA, Timothy Leary helped to create an entire counterculture of drug abuse that spread the drug from America to the United Kingdom and the rest of Europe. Even today, use of LSD in the United Kingdom is significantly higher than in other parts of the world. And all the while, the 60s counterculture used LSD to escape the problems of the society.
Recreational drugs were also synonymous with the 60s and became more commonly used in the latter part of the decade. Images of the Woodstock Festival show people high on marijuana and LSD, dancing in fields, with paint on their face and their hair flowing free. It was very difficult for anyone in show business to avoid becoming involved in drugs in some way, and as easily influenced young people looking for fun. Many were encouraged to follow their idols and take hallucinogenic drugs. LSD made people feel happy and optimistic and helped bring about the hippie movement.
However, the lack of knowledge and the drugs overuse brought people into a backfire. Thousands of people died because they wanted to use drugs recreationally without clearly knowing and they are going to experiment. First, drugs were only used in order to heal, hence people didn't know what they were risking. They, so they just saw those as a way to become fear.
Music, dance, sex, and drugs were a cornerstone of the 60s. A gloomiest side of this decade can be seen when you zoom in on numbers of deaths.